Right, good evening. How are we doing? Are we live? Let's have a little look. If you are coming in, by the way, let me know your biggest win. Let me know your biggest win of the week so far. Let's have a look. Biggest win of the day, actually. What's the best part of your day? Even the worst days have a best part. There you go. Even the worst days have a best part. So, I'm here sipping my hot cocoa with cinnamon. I'm just going to make sure we are live in the right group and I get everything up on here. Let's have a look. Are we live? Yes, we are live. Put a 1 in the comments. Good evening, Judy. How are we doing? Put a 1 in the comments if you are coming in and you can hear me okay. Evening, Polly. How are we doing? How are we doing? Let me know your biggest win so far today. What's the best part of your day? Even if you had the worst day, what's the best part? Always remember that. Thank you, Polly. All good. So I'm just going to send some over so that no one forgets that we are live and in the house today. Good evening, Jill. Good evening. How are we doing? What's the best part of your day today? Let me know, because even the worst day has the best part. So it is day 2 Q&A. If you are coming in, give me a hello. Let me know your best part. Great questions, as always. I have to say, yesterday's questions probably topped it. But how are we all getting on today? Are we getting the protein in? Are we... I loved seeing a lot of the comments as well. How are we doing, Lisa? In terms of the sessions, but also protein, the plan for the day. Awesome work. Looking at soya. You name it. Some really good ones in there, which is always good to see. Right, 1 hour dog walk, 2 workouts, love it. Claire, Karen, how are we doing? Love the workout today. Yes, me too. Love the arms, shoulders, back of the arms. Good evening, Rebecca. 2 workouts and Christmas shopping. Merry Christmas to you as well. Am I the first person to say Merry Christmas? Maybe. How are we doing, Sandra? Right, let's rock and roll. Let's get cracking into these questions. I was just waiting for a few people to come in, but I think we have got enough of us in to play the game and rock and roll, make a difference. Small habits, compound effect, that's what it's all about. You don't have to be perfect to progress. Let me know your best part of today. Joining the live on a run in the dark. Cool, good work. Yeah, listen on the go. And you had good enough Wi-Fi where you were running. That is impressive too. Even more impressive than the run, actually. Okay, good work. So, everyone should now have the replay. So there's no, absolutely no excuse. Okay, and if someone says it disappears, that'd be 10 push-ups. No, joking. No, 20 push-ups. Okay, let's rock and roll. Enough of me gibbering. I've got to read I walked into exercise session with Tasha this morning, feeling rubbish, walked out feeling great. Love it, that's what it's all about, Julie. I might see you tomorrow, actually. I planned and stuck to plan for extra protein. Perfect. Biggest win today, Polly. I was short on time due to work, but had planned on Sunday the time to exercise each day of the week. I did a 20-minute run on the treadmill at 11 a.m. as planned. Perfect. Love that. Well done. Good work. And that's what it's all about. Small habits, compound effect on here. Cool. Great. So let's get these questions. So if you've got any questions tonight, by the way, do put them in the comments. Absolutely fine. I know we can often go, you should have put it in at 1 o'clock. Someone asked, can I still put the questions in if it's gone 1? Yeah, fine. It's just, especially if it's a good question and someone else is thinking it. That question could just about be, it was like one of the questions at one time was, I really struggled to eat bread and eat toast and eat tips. And I just said, put your toaster in your cupboard. It's one of our habits actually from our habit challenge. And they were like, and it's funny, years later, someone says to me, the one thing that stuck to me was when you said, just put the toaster away in the cupboard. It's that much effort to get it back out. It stops me. And it's the most simple thing. And I wouldn't have said it if they wouldn't have just asked that. So it's sometimes super key to ask. So Emma asked, does drinking caffeine after food damage vitamins from previously consumed fruit and veg? That's a good question. So Yes and no. Depends where you're getting your caffeine from. Caffeine in itself, no, unless it triggers IBS potentially. What I will say from that is if you're, the one caveat to this really, and rather than caffeine, the question should be more tannins, which you may have heard of. So tea contains quite a high amount of tannins. Okay, so in terms of tannins, there is tannins in coffee still as well, but tea especially. But if you're having like a caffeine tablet or a chew or something, then fine. If you're having coffee, tea, and it depends then what vitamin you're on about. Normally this comes from iron, as in you're talking about, you say vitamins, but do you mean iron is what I'd say, because iron is often asked. If it is iron, then yes, unfortunately, if you are worried about like your iron absorption, that is. So, for example, if you have normal iron levels and you just do what you do, like for example, me, and in many cultures, if I'm honest, if you look around, Europe, say, think how many people have a coffee after their dinner. It's a very normal thing to do, yet, if their iron levels are fine. If your iron levels are like quite low and you're doing everything you can to get it up, and you also maybe don't eat meat as well, which is heme iron. So heme iron is found in like meat. That's a more absorbable source of iron. Non-heme iron is found in like greens, plants, beans, legumes. Still contains iron, but non-heme has to be converted to heme to be absorbed. Now, the conversion isn't the best. So, for example, if you have X amount of non-heme iron, that converts to Y amount of absorbable iron. So it's not like a like for like, not like a one for one. So that's just one thing you need to consider. So how you can increase the absorption of that: don't have tea and coffee around your meals when you have iron for around 2 hours before or after. And also increase your vitamin C intake around that iron. So if you're having beans, for example, that contain non-heme, I'm going off on a tangent here, assuming that I'm answering your question, Emma. I've just noticed that. I'm answering my question to you, for you. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Have some vitamin C with that, and that will also help the conversion of non-heme to heme. Anyway, you didn't even mention heme. I could just be going off on an absolute tangent, and you could go, what the hell is he on about? Anyway, hope that was helpful, Emma. So in short, coffee, tea can blunt the absorption of some nutrients, yes. Would I worry about it though? Unless you're really worried about your iron intake, probably fine. Next question, Claire. Red lentil and veg, including peas, stew type thing with baked cod tonight. I see that lentils sit in protein and carb section. How would you suggest I portion these, please? Also, I'm not a snacker, but when I've eaten a good healthy meal, I just want more of whatever is around. So let's break this down into two parts. First part, red lentil and veg, including peas, stew type thing with baked cod tonight. So because you eat meat and fish, if you look at the meal makers, the meal maker where someone does eat meat and fish, your cod will be the main protein source. Your lentils would be more of the carbohydrate source, but it does contain some protein. This is where it does get a bit grey. However, if you were vegetarian, what I would suggest for you, as in the vegetarian meal maker says, let's say your protein source, you were going to get lentils, and then your carb source, I was trying to push you towards like beans. They are both carbs, but they also are both protein, but because they're vegetarian sources, they're lower in quality in terms of like the nutrient, the amino acid availability of them, aka, just rewind a bit, meat, eggs, fish, soy as well, are complete proteins. That means they contain all the amino acids that you need to get from your diet to make a complete protein, which helps with recovery. Everything from hair, skin, nails, DNA, you name it, cells in your body. They're complete proteins. Incomplete proteins means, imagine you've got a house, but there's a few bricks missing. They're incomplete. So you need to get the bricks from somewhere else. So how a vegetarian might do this is mixing beans and pulses would make it a bit better. Or mixing, say, cheese and baked beans, for example, makes a complete protein together. That's why I like mixing that. So that's why you'll see in the vegetarian meal maker, when I talk about portion size guides, it might be like protein, red lentils, carbs, beans, pulses, some kind of beans. So you're doubling up on those if you don't eat meat alternatives, that is. So that's where that cider gets into it. So if you're using that, that's what I'd suggest. Hope that helps. Also, I'm not a snacker, but when I've eaten a good healthy meal, I just want more of whatever is around, literally. I just keep eating. Any tips? So, what's in the good healthy meal is what I would say. Could you just eat more of the good, because you said whatever is around. Okay, if you doubled your protein and doubled your veg at that meal, so let's talk about that stew. Double the cod, double the veg, double the lentils. See how you feel then. Sometimes taste fatigue is a really big thing. So for example, when they've done studies in macaroni and cheese, the reason they do it in macaroni and cheese is it's cheap, easy, and it's really interesting. Macaroni and cheese, right? Everyone loves macaroni and cheese. So macaroni and cheese, they do study, eat as much macaroni and cheese as you want. So eat macaroni and cheese. There's only so much you eat. Although it's moreish still, then someone gets a bit sick and they're like, I'm done. If you serve someone macaroni and cheese and chips, they have some macaroni and cheese, a few chips, then they go back to the macaroni and cheese. They go back to chip, back to the they end up eating more macaroni and cheese because they experience less taste fatigue. That's why people generally eat more at a buffet, because they don't get that taste fatigue. Whereas if you're just eating chicken wings, yes, they might be quite calorific depending on how they're cooked, etc. But it begins a time where you're like, I can't eat this 20th chicken wing, right? Whereas if you were like, you go to a barbecue, bit of that, 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 buffet, bit of that, bit of that, bit of that, you get that fullness. So it might be, Claire, that you're actually just after something different is the issue. Whereas if you just gave yourself permission to have, you know what, I'll just have a bit more of my meal and be okay with that. And have a rule in your head, dinner and done, dinner and done. I'll eat as much protein, veg as I want, and reset, change the way you think. Because sometimes we try and change too much too soon. We want that result now, so we make restrict. Matt said only a palm-sized portion of protein, so that's all I'm going to have. Yeah, actually, then we end up snacking on that. We're not as full. We've got to personalise this a bit. Don't be afraid to go, you know what, I'm going to double that and try it. You'll probably still get better results than the alternative. Always ask the question, what's the alternative? Does that make sense? Cool. Yeah, give that a try, Claire. You'll be like, I cannot eat this 20th cod fillet. Give me another spoonful of lentils and I'm going to walk out of this place. Lydia asks, is there a limit to the amount of protein we should have in a day? If I'm honest, the only limit I would put on protein is if it stops you eating enough vegetables. For example, let's say your protein intake is so high that you cannot stomach any vegetables, which would be very hard to do. They've done studies where they overfeed people like 4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So like 4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight is a horrendous amount of protein. Where you need protein, there's no way you get that from food alone. They use protein shakes. And what happens is they overfeed them, okay, protein and calories. So their maintenance is here. They overfeed them like this, but all the excess calories come from protein. This group who does this, they only gain muscle, lean mass, okay? Whereas this group over here, they overfeed them calories, they put on body fat and muscle. So there seems to be something there in terms of body composition. The only way I would say, oh, you're eating too much protein here, is if it became at a cost of something else. Let's say you're now deficient in vegetables, you're not eating maybe any carbohydrates at all ever, you're now psychosocially damaged because you go out and you order a protein beer, which you can get now, by the way, not from many bars, but online. You only drink protein, gluten-free beer, and nothing wrong with that. But, you know, let's say that really impacted you. Then, you know, that'd be my only thing. But as a minimum, 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight, or hand size every meal. Or if you want to get geeky with it, 0.4 to 0.6 grams of protein per kilogram per meal. Aim for 3 to 4 meals. Good to go. Hope that helps. Lydia, have you got any sensible, tasty alternatives of beans in recipes? I try to avoid fructans for IBS, but miss my beanie meals so much. I'm mostly veggie at home. Hearing what you're saying, I need to look harder at soya. Yeah. So if you mostly veggie, that is the issue with protein. If you don't eat beans as well, like if you can have a meat alternative, that would be great. But a lot of legumes have similar, the fermentability of them means that it can trigger IBS because they are fermentable. Their benefit is also their consequence for a lot of people. So the benefit is it's hard to break down, takes a long time to get through the body. Your body has to ferment it to digest it, which means it burns a lot of calories, absorbing it, digesting it. The downside is it can trigger IBS. You don't get the absorption of the nutrients that you want, and that has quite a negative impact. So there's no real like for like, I would say, that would like solve the problem, other than going for more like meat alternatives in there, like whether you do like soya, something like that, tofu, things like that. You eat meat when you're out, cool. Chickpeas seem okay. Okay, yeah, so small bean portions, yeah, chickpeas, if they're good for, if you can go with them, that's fine. It is often in the portion with them as well. Big sale on my protein at the moment. Cool, perfect. I do need some, actually. How we doing, Chloe, Bindu, Jan, Sally, in the house? Let's go, next question. How we doing, Debbie, Shaz, Nassim, Alison? You snuck in. Steffi, is it okay to have a bigger portion of protein at breakfast than at other meals? Protein will be in all, but just wondered. Yes, that's all good to have a bigger portion of protein. And what do you mean by a bigger portion of protein? And what I'll say is, anecdotally, from looking at 8,761 food diaries and counting, nearly everyone, I'd say about 8,641 people out of 8,792 don't eat enough protein. That's like, they just don't, like, I would say they normally have protein, probably enough protein to maximize muscle protein synthesis, which is the response you want to build muscle, tone up, be fuller for longer. People normally get it at about one meal a day, which is, you guess it, their evening meal, where they maybe have like chicken or spaghetti bolognese, they have like the mince in there. All the other meals is like cereal. They'll get like maybe like 5-6 grams. Lunch might be a soup, bread. They snack on some fruit, etc. You see a trend, and it's like there's only one bolus of protein in there, and the research is saying 3 to 4. No wonder we're hungry. No wonder we're losing muscle. No wonder when our blood sugar levels are up and down. Protein has a great impact on that. No wonder we haven't got the energy. The recovery is not there as much as it used to be. Remember, we need more protein as we age. So I'm going off on a tangent again on Steffi's question, but yeah, definitely, if you can get more protein in, perfect. Because remember, more of something is going to be less of something else. And if you find something hard to stop eating, if you add something in that directly blunts your hunger signals and just so happens to improve your recovery, keep you fuller for longer, burn more calories to digest and absorb, help with your skin, help with your nails, better than any potion or cream. Yeah, and given that the muscle mass on you is probably one of the best anti-aging things you can do in terms of longevity. Like if you look at that, you know, the ability, how, like they measure like quality of life in later life on your ability to open a jar and your wrist strength. If you consider that, the better your wrist strength in later life, generally the better quality of life someone has. So, you know, if someone's grip strength's gone, they might not be able to eat a steak. They might not be able to open a jar, etc. Then their food habits change, you name it. They might not be able to do things for themselves, you name it. So, did you say 1.2 grams per kilogram or pound? Kilogram, but that's minimum, by the way, Debbie. You can go more than that. Hot chocolate. Cocoa, cinnamon, milk, paste, hot water. Good to go. Hey, Lindsay. If you have any other questions, by the way, do put below. Yvonne asked, if you wanted a takeaway as a treat, What in your opinion? What in your where's it gone? What in your opinion would be the healthiest choice? I know takeaway food is quote unquote unhealthy, and the best choice is not to have it at all. But was just wondering, asking for a friend. No, you didn't write that. So I actually have takeaway quite a bit. Actually, I say quite a bit. We normally go for curry quite a lot, and then it's like, I know what you mean. Like, if I'm gonna make a healthy choice, some might say this boring, but if I'm just gonna go for a healthier choice, I'd get something like tandoori or shashlik, and if we're getting a takeaway, I'd actually quite often make my side with it. So I'll have like Mediterranean vegetables with it, or I'll make a big salad with it. So that I will get the takeaway in with its shashlik, which is like sizzling, nice, quite lean, good to go, like chicken dish. So that's what I would suggest. And if it was like curry, then going for like more the chicken drier dishes are going to be a lot lower calories than say like more the saucy, creamy, like lamb dishes especially are going to be higher in fat as well. So I'd say as far as takeaway, that'd probably be my go-to if I was to pick like the healthiest choice possible, tandoori or chicken shashlik. But I do have a eating out guide. If you want me to send that to you, I can put it in the around here somewhere if that's good for you. Actually, eating out. I'll put that in for you. So I will send that. I'll put that in the comments for you. A little guide to eating out. In terms of just some of the best words to look for as well, which is quite helpful, but also a calories guide as well. Evening, Alex. I'll put that in the comments for you now. So eating out guide, words to look for, and then also calories guide, eating out. So it has the calories too, because obviously like there's calories on most menus now, but there's also not calories on a lot of things like curry houses, because you don't need to put calories on some foods. Some restaurants don't need to put it on because there's only like one. So it's if you have 2 restaurants or more. GBK burger in a lettuce wrap rather than a bun. Is that what you go for? Cool. Nassim, yes please. Was that to the some reason it's only letting me see like really like the comments just disappear. Hang on. Cool. Perfect. Right. Yeah, I hope that helps on there. Let me just refresh the page, see if I can get any comments back on here. Got it. Yeah. Perfect. So I've just put that in there. I'll also put it above as well, actually. That will probably be helpful. Yeah. Cool. Great. So any other questions? Let me just get, I think we got one more question. I've just put above, by the way, that link to the eating out guide, so you can find that easy enough. Hopefully they work. So look, next question on here. Hey Catherine, put below apologies. So I cooked a Slimming World recipe, chicken and veg hot pot. How do you portion control different food groups? What, as in, so I cooked a Slimming World recipe, chicken and veg hot pot. How do you portion control different food groups? So if you make a big meal, yeah. So if you make like a big meal in there, just use it a bit rough around the edges with that. And if I'm honest, it's a bit like almost go for that like mindfulness with that. If that sounds like very lean anyway. And of course, portions control comes into it. If you're someone who struggles to stop eating, what I would say is serve it. Try and aim for, say, there's about a hand-sized portion of protein or so in there, lots of veg, or even serve some veg on a plate before with that as well. Just chuck more in just to bulk it out. But I mean, don't stress about like sectioning it off. You could just have a bowl, like standard bowl, standard portion. It sounds like it's already kind of portioned anyway, with like the chicken and the veg is in there. And if it is that, then, you know, you can't really go too wrong, given that we say as much veg as kind of you want with the meal maker. And if you are overshooting on the protein, it's not going to be too much of an issue anyway. So that's fine. I wouldn't worry too much about that. That's all good. Let me just get the other question in from Julie asked. One sec. There we go. So Julie asked about protein. Cool. That's it. Just 1 sec. It might just pause the video for 1 sec. It was about diet protein. So is diet protein okay? Basically, my family told me I don't really need that one. So they're kind of right in that, like, a diet protein is sometimes a bit more of a meal replacement. So it's called like diet whey or something. And that's fine. So if you're using it as more of a meal replacement, that might be a good thing. It's probably quite low in calories. It'll be like 300 calories, 300 calories normally per serving, maybe 200 calories per serving. And it'll probably contain a bit of carnitine, few ingredients that say they help burn fat, which probably won't be in the doses that required to actually have an impact. So I wouldn't stress about that too much. But if it's a bit more filling than just the protein shake, that might be worth. But if you're just looking to use protein powder to be in addition to meals, like we talked about yesterday, stirring into your porridge after making the porridge, stirring into some yogurt to increase that, having just a bit of a snack protein shake with some milk or something like that. Essentially, having whey protein with milk is like a meal replacement anyway, to an extent, but it's like 200-300 calories max, depending on how much milk you have, whether you have full fat, 0% fat, and that'll be quite filling. If you have it with water, of course, it just gives you the flexibility to have a lower calorie shake then as well. But some diet wheys might just be the same. Like, if you think about it, there's 20 grams of protein roughly in a scoop of protein. You times that by 4, that's 80 calories. So if per serving it's around 100 calories, that's fine. Like, that's pretty much 80% protein, right? If there's 100 calories and 80 calories are coming from protein, that's 80% protein. That's good. If it's like 50% protein, then you might want to go, do I need this like meal replacement, or could I just have a whey protein? It's probably going to be cheaper, gives me flexibility as well. So that's absolutely fine. Cool. Any questions on that? Any questions on today's task as well? Any questions on today's task? I know like we went through like a few things today in terms of hot flushes as well, and I talked about soy with that in terms of hot flushes. We talked a bit about cravings as well, in terms of allowing yourself that potential like extra 300 calories of chocolate, for example, that might be good to around that time of the month, luteal phase, to allow more flexibility. But again, when you look at these studies, they didn't actually control for protein. So the group that actually had an easier time during this phase in their menstrual cycle actually had more protein, which is quite fascinating. And remember about exercise, like one of the biggest things that they showed in these studies, where they followed people through different stages of transition throughout premenopause, perimenopause, was their physical activity, energy expenditure went down. So a good reminder to get your steps in, do the simple things, get a 1 minute in, get a 10-minute workout. Never think it's pointless, because that might just have all the difference. And also these small habits really add up. Like if you lose a pound, lose 2 pounds, 3 pounds, you know, one of the things to consider is that your metabolism slows down when you lose weight, like because you're a smaller human being. So as you're a smaller human being, you technically burn less calories just sitting there still. So actually, if you put on muscle, that's one way to keep your metabolism going. And also, there's some studies where if you lose a kilo, they'd give you a backpack, say put a kilo in your backpack, so you live your life with that kilo back on. And that seems to help people break through plateaus. Sounds bonkers, I'm not saying do that, but just to give you an idea of like those small habits, small things really do add up. So standing up a bit more, doing that 1 minute workout, increasing your knee, waving your hands when you're talking is a really great way as well, which I seem to do naturally. Anyway, what's the definition of a calorie? Good question. So a calorie is essentially short form for essentially the energy or the heat, if you like, needed to raise the temperature of like the water when they measure it by one degree, I believe it is 1 degree. Yeah. And then you've got kilojoules as well, which you might see on the packet actually, and you know, it says calories and it also says like kilojoules as well. KJ, so you'll see that as well. Yeah, so yeah, kilocalories, kilojoules, and they'll give that in there as well, but it would get quite confusing. So if you were working in joules, like 1 calorie would be like 4 joules. Don't worry about that, just stick to calories. But yeah, that's that. You just made me feel like one of my masters was worth it now, Jill. As we looked at different peanut butters, and looked at what the packet said. We did one little study, what the packet said versus what actually we calculated the calories to be based on burning it and heating it up and extracting the calories from it. And they were often like around 15% off, and actually you can actually legally be 20% off, which is quite fascinating. So that is a wrap on all the questions. That's enough about peanut butter. Say moreish, but delicious. Any other questions tonight? Any other questions tonight? Awesome work with the workouts, by the way. And again, like I said, good questions in on there. Loving some of the action taken, 30% protein in the meals, 0% Greek yogurt. Love it. Perfect. Yeah, lots of wins in there. Sardines and tomato sauce. Love it, Emma. Good work. Cannot beat the sardines. Protein every meal, at least 1 portion of soy. Cool. Perfect. All good. Great, Sandra. Hope you found that helpful. Most importantly, we take action from this. We make sure we focus on what we can control. That's always a key thing. Great, Karen. Any questions, as always, let me know. If you watch on replay as well, let me know. Remember, 6 a.m. tomorrow. Workout, no floor. Next task. Keep building up onto it. Small habits, compound effect. And we go in. Again, awesome, Emma. Steffi, love it. Alex, awesome. Good night. Awesome, Yvonne. Have a lovely evening. Workout done. Awesome work. Who's just done the workout now? You should be on the Q&A, not working. No, just... Cool. Awesome. Oh, I've got... Perfect. Yeah, we are ready. Good work. Any questions, let me know. Awesome, Julie. And I will see you later. Have a good evening. Take care. By the way, we're going into day 3. This is the day where most people drop out. So are you going to be that person? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. Small habits, compound effect. Remember, think all or something rather than all or nothing. All or something rather than all or nothing. Even if something gets in the way. Remember, if time gets hard, if you feel stuck, if you feel like I'm really struggling to keep up with this, I should just leave it all. Remember that you're basically saying that if you're going to start when time is right, when things settle down, you're basically saying that when things get busy again, you're going to give up. You're assuming that you're going to give up. I'll start when things settle down. Okay, you start when things settle down, but then what happens when things get busy again? Don't forget that. Awesome. Love it. Steffi, Claire, Bryony, I'll see you later. Have an awesome evening.